Well, for more on our top story, the death of Osama Bin Laden, we are joined now over the phone from Washington by Paul Rosenzweig. He helped develop policy when he was at the Department of Homeland Security. Paul is now the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Paul, great to have you join us. You know, just before this, we have Tom Lee here from JPMorgan, saying that this is certainly going to be a confidence booster for the markets to have somebody like Osama now off the most wanted list. Is there really room for that type of optimism, Paul?
Well, in some ways, yes. This is clearly a large symbolic victory for America. In truth, Osama bin Laden has had very little operational control over al-Qaeda for the last several years. But at the same time, symbols are important. It would be no different than say, if the Washington Monument were destroyed by terrorists. It wouldn't affect the economy, but it would have a terribly significant impact on us. And likewise, I think on the other side, we're going to see a quite significant impact on al-Qaeda's supporters and, frankly, a boost in American morale as well.
Well, let's pick up on that point, because that's what we've heard from a lot of top strategists today. Paul was talking about symbols, the idea of Osama bin Laden becoming a martyr, and that possible threat being one of the reasons why some strategists are concerned about what lies ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't think it's a Washington Monument. This is a living person. I think this is the equivalent of if the president of the U.S., if this happened, what would happen to the U.S. economy? Or if this happened to the most important financial institution in America, what would happen to the economy? We know it would have a huge effect. And remember, this is it's a group that has a lot of churn, so you need to do recruitment.
But it makes this whole, I mean, I don't know, Paul. I mean, you chime in here. I mean, this becomes a much more complicated situation, does it not? Because we don't know who now may rise to the helm of al-Qaeda. We don't know much about these other factions that are around the world, and so then you wonder about what is next, right?
I think that's right. I think you can definitely predict a season of a great deal of chaos and churn within the al-Qaeda organization as they sort out what happens next. I think you can also reasonably predict a likelihood of an impetus within them for vengeance. That is to say that I would expect over the next 6 to 9 months an uptick generally in terrorist activity, along with a desire, don't know how successful it will be, but a desire to do something significant in retaliation to prove that they're still players in the game. It's not going to be a time where we're going to just draw a line under this, say, okay, bin Laden's dead, game over. This is the start of a new phase, and it's going to be a time of great uncertainty.
Now, Paul, it's Dominic here. How much does that power vacuum bother people right now? We already know markets, everybody hates uncertainty, but the idea of an organization that's in turmoil, how much of an effect will that have on things?
Well, I think it'll have a significant effect. I mean, we've seen already that a large fraction of al-Qaeda has become kind of a franchise, right? Al-Qaeda in Yemen, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. It may very well give an opportunity for leaders in those outlier franchises to step up and take control. It might certainly give them a great deal more independence from Central Al-Qaeda. And then within Al-Qaeda Central, there's going to be a great deal of uncertainty as to who takes the lead. And then I guess the final thing is, how is Pakistan going to react? How is the non-terrorist Arab world going to react? Is this going to generate anti-Americanism, or is this going to be a relief to them?
Yeah, a lot of questions. But, Paul, on the money side, though, where would our billions now be deployed now that we've gotten rid of Osama?
Well, I don't think that our military strategy is going to change over much. This doesn't end the war in Afghanistan. It doesn't make Iraq all of a sudden calm, and it doesn't mean that the unrest in the Middle East, in Yemen, and Syria, and Egypt, and Tunisia is going away. All that is more or less unchanged. So I think the basic overseas deployment of American interests and likewise its effect on our economy is going to remain relatively unaffected in the long run.
The status quo. Peter, thank you very much. Peter Rosenzweig.